but he probably got one thing right when he said you're not a Jew.
What are you talking about? Why would you? And then he hangs up the phone. What a MAGA coward. So we have another MAGA caller who calls into this show who is an anti-Semite. We have a MAGA caller who calls into the show when I give him Laura Loomer's back. 7283 if you do want to be a part of the show. All right, let's go to Gary. Gary's first up on PTL. What's up, Gary?
Hey, Brian. I listen to NPR radio. I don't know if I should admit that on your show, but they were talking about Haitian immigrants. Some of them are eating homeless people out there.
Gary, come on, man. Don't say stuff like that. That's absurd. Knock it off. It's not funny, Gary. Gary, it's not Gary. Listen to me. I'm not hanging up on you. Let's have a conversation. Gary, I'm talking to you now. It's not funny. Okay? What you're saying is not funny. Don't say that. Did you hear what I just said? Gary, Gary.
Every time I try to say something, you cut me off.
Because you just said Haitian immigrants are eating human beings. It's not funny. Knock it off. If you want to have a conversation.
Eating the homeless people.
And where are you getting that information from, Gary?
Desperate people.
Gary,
I just told you.
So you're telling me
you're a woman. She works for the Homeless Coalition,
and she's saying
she says.
So someone and what is this woman's name? Do you remember her name? Because I don't believe you. I don't believe any credible human being would say that Haitian immigrants in this country are eating homeless human beings. Gary, stop it. It's not funny. If you want to have a serious conversation with me, we can have a serious conversation. That's not funny.
I better not ask you what I was going to say next. If they do, should they be deported automatically?
I'll tell you something. People like you should be deported because, quite frankly, you're not smart enough to call into this radio show. Have a nice day. Folks, that is exactly what I am talking about. Let me be clear. Gary, who is a MAGA supporter, calls into the show, thinks this is funny. And then he calls in with something that is obviously not true. Haitian immigrants are not eating animals and they're not eating human beings. But yet he calls into the show and he thinks this is funny. He thinks it's a joke. What if one of his family members was from Haitian descent and something bad happened to them because of that sort of bigoted rhetoric? It's not funny, and I won't tolerate it. Go ahead and call into your conservative radio shows if that's what you want to bring up, and I'm sure they'll let you go on and on and on, and they won't mind. That's not what I do on this show. We can disagree, but there's nothing funny about calling into a radio show and saying that Haitian immigrants are eating people, okay? I think you should be deported. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Nelson. Nelson is 221-7283. Let's go to Muhammad. Muhammad is next. Hello, Muhammad.
Hey, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Man, you really beat up on JD there. Is it post traumatic syndrome from your former partner at your previous show that you're suffering with? You can't chat nicely with somebody named JD? Is that what's happening?
No. I mean, I chat nicely with people that deserve to, like, for example, yesterday and the day before, I had a guy call in who's a big Trump supporter. I kept him on for 20 minutes. We didn't insult each other.
I listened.
Okay.
I listened.
So then you know that
actually very, very entertaining and very informative.
Good. So
and I
thank
thought you handled that well. So I just want to touch on a couple things JD said.
Okay.
So one of the things, and I know you're going to assume this is a conspiracy theory that I'm just floating out there, but I'm really not. I find it interesting that it wasn't a live televised interview, and Kamala Harris took the last 4 days off. And in my mind, I think they've produced this. And to say that you had 3 or 4 days to produce, cut up, and piece this interview together for people to not be overwhelmed, in fact, be underwhelmed with the result, should tell you who we're dealing with. This lady is not a great communicator.
And you think Donald Trump is a great communicator?
Oh, no. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing the Trump.
So so let's focus on Harris.
I'm not going to go there.
Let's focus.
Okay. The other thing.
Hold on. One thing at a time.
That would be a reason why there were no transcripts, and I think that JD was on the right trail there.
Okay,
that's probably why.
Here's my issue with what you're saying.
This is a heavily produced movie by a CNN Studios.
Okay, so everything
to the American people.
Okay, so here's my problem with what you're saying. First of all, everything you're saying is unproven, and there's no evidence to prove any of your opinions. Now, when you say, Brian, you're going to think this is a conspiracy theory. I don't call things a conspiracy theory if there's some proof or evidence to back it up. First of all, she had no notes in front of her. There's zero evidence that anything was scripted.
Why would you need notes when you get 6 or 7 takes to get it right?
Okay, again. Okay, let's go with that. Okay, let's go with that.
On TV and speak
okay,
live,
let's go with that. Stop. Muhammad, stop. First of all, where is your evidence that there were, quote, 6 or 7 takes for the question? Go.
My evidence is that it wasn't a live interview.
That's not my question. Hey, Mohammed, that's not my question. I'm going to ask it again. Why don't you take the MAGA wax out of your ears and listen? Where is your evidence, going by your own words, that there were 6 or 7 takes per question? Go.
Where's your evidence that there wasn't?
You're the one making the claim. Hey, MAGA.
Piece it together?
MAGA, you're the one making the claim, not me. Okay, I'm not the one making the claim. No, it's not okay. You're the one making the claim.
Rebutting what I'm saying with no evidence.
What are you talking about?
To go off of.
What are you?
One fact that is a reality is that it's a produced event. It wasn't a live interview. We only see what they chose to let us see. Can we agree on that?
Okay, so here's where you're 100% wrong. As my producer just pointed out to me, the full transcript is on CNN. So you and JD are dodo heads. They released the full transcript. So while you're on a radio station claiming me that the transcript isn't out there, and MAGA JD calls in and says, where's the full transcript? Hey, dodo head, the full transcript is on CNN right now. Do you need me to repeat that? Do you need 6 or 7 takes for me to get this through your MAGA head? Do you want me to repeat it 6 or 7 times? Hey, dodo head, the full transcript is on CNN. What do you have to say to that, MAGA?
3 repeats on dodo head. We got it.
I gave you 3 takes. I gave you 3 takes instead of 7. By the way, you still haven't answered my question.
So, regardless of any of that, earlier so it sounds to me like you're extremely impressed with how the interview went and that Kamala did extremely well.
No, I'm extremely impressed on how intelligent you are with your conspiracy theories and your opinions without any evidence to back up anything. I'm very impressed with you, sir. You're what? Yeah.
Here's one for you. Did Tim Walz ever deny that he misspoke when he said he carried arms in war?
Well,
first
of all,
no, he didn't. Did he?
20. I'm going to answer you.
Did he?
24 years in serving this country, and as a public official and as a governor, sometimes you're going to say things that, and I would call it a mistake.
Opportunity to say he misspoke.
Gotcha. So while I think he could have answered that question better, you being a MAGA supporter, every single day Donald Trump lies intentionally. He still hasn't conceded the 2020 election. He still says he won. He says he's going to be a dictator on day one. Every single day, Donald Trump, yes, he did.
You talk about people calling in with talking points. You really, really have adopted the talking point.
What did I say that was? What did I say that's not true? What did I say that's not true?
It's laughable that you claim to be an independent.
What did I say that's not true?
Don't tout your voting record.
What did I say?
Nobody wants to hear it.
What did I say that's not true?
I said you claim to be an independent.
I don't care.
Laughable.
I don't care what you think is laughable. I'm asking you a question. What did I say that's not true? A talking point is something that you either disagree with or I'm spewing out something that's not factually accurate. Donald Trump is the guy that still hasn't conceded the 2020 election.
I don't care about Donald Trump.
I know you don't.
Me supporting Donald Trump.
I know you don't.
Donald Trump.
I know you don't care about Donald Trump. Donald Trump could rape a child on TV and you would still vote for him and you would criticize Tim Walz because he misspoke. I know you don't care. You don't care that Donald Trump is a 34-count felon. You don't care that he's a liable rapist. You don't care what happened on January 6th. But God forbid if Tim Walz misspeaks, talking passionately about guns, that's something that Mohammed cares about. Mohammed, give me a break, man.
I care about the guy being honest. He had an opportunity to say,
please. You being you care about being honest. You support Donald Trump. How could you care about anything with honesty in it?
Let me just say one more thing about Kamala Harris, and then I'll let you go. In the beginning of the interview, when she asked her about changing her positions, right, she very, very clearly stated, my beliefs have not changed. So that's signal calling to the Democrats, but saying that, yeah, we can still be energy independent and create energy that's okay.
I'm going to give you an analogy.
Without banning
okay, Mohammed.
fracking, right?
Mohammed, I'm going to give you an analogy.
What she's saying is, oh, I'm not going to ban fracking completely, but I am going to continue to push this clean energy agenda, which essentially means getting rid of fossil fuels and fracking. Let's just be clear.
Okay, so
maybe you could be honest for a moment and admit that that's what she was doing.
I do find it interesting that you MAGA supporters, use the term honesty. But
I'm not a MAGA supporter.
Yeah,
you keep saying that. You can call me whatever you want.
I'm sure you're not.
Just like you can call yourself an independent.
I'm sure you're not.
Everybody knows is a joke.
No, it's not a joke. Actually, it's not a joke.
You're a Democrat.
No, I'm not.
You're a Democrat.
No, I'm not.
Sheep's clothing.
No, I'm not. You're a racist. Okay, but I'm going to start from square one here, and I'm going to make an analogy that even somebody like you might understand. She said, I'm still in my core beliefs and values. I haven't changed. So I'm going to give you an analogy where I think.
Who was she speaking to when she made that statement?
When your wife, hold on.
Who was she signaling to?
I don't know.
Why would you make that statement instead of just saying, I've changed my position.
I'm going to give you.
I think fracking is fine, but I also think pursuing clean energy is a better solution going forward.
I'm going to give you an analogy.
She's trying to straddle the fence, keep her base happy, knowing that, I still believe in that.
Hey, Mohammed.
My core beliefs are there,
Mohammed.
but we can have a little bit.
Hey, Mohammed. How about shut up and let me talk? What do you think about that for 20 seconds? Can we do that? Thank you. I appreciate
it. Go for it.
Oh,
go for it. I'm channeling my best Chris Wynn.
Yeah, well, it's very kind of you to let me talk on my own show. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you an analogy that I think somebody like you can understand. I would imagine every woman that you've ever met in your life, when they saw you naked, they probably were turned off, and they probably never wanted to see you naked again. Now, it doesn't mean that women can't fall in love with you. Like if you have a woman that falls in love with you, they'll say, hey, I love you for who you are. I doubt that would be true with any woman in your life. But let's just say hypothetically you do have a woman that loves you. They're still going to stick to their core value that even though they love you and they care about you, they're not physically attracted to you and they maintain their core values. Does that hit home for you, Mohammed? Does that make sense? That analogy?
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, maybe you should talk a little bit about your girl Kamala's position on Israel. Since you're Jewish, how do you feel about their position on Israel? Because
I feel fine with it.
I find it hard to believe that you'd support what they're doing.
So what are they doing? What are they doing?
Really?
Really? What are they doing?
You're good with it? I'd like you to declare now that you're comfortable in 100% support the way Biden and Harris have handled.
I'll answer that, and I'll answer that. I'll answer that. Okay. First off, because then we got to take a break. I'm running late here. She has maintained, as Joe Biden has maintained, Israel has a right to defend themselves. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They've been around since the mid-'80s. She talked extensively about Hamas, how they need to be conquered. With that being said, we have a lot of innocent people that have died in Gaza. A lot of innocent Palestinians have died, including young children. And Israel also has a responsibility for the least amount of casualties. Now, it's a very complex and difficult issue because you have Hamas infiltrating themselves around innocent Palestinian people. Very difficult. What we can say is that a two-state solution would work. Now, I'm not saying that there would never be any more terrorist attacks. A ceasefire would save lives. I 150% back the Harris-Biden administration and their position on the Israel-Palestinian conflict. And I would also say my analogy to women in your life, I think probably hit home to you, sir. I appreciate the call, Mohammed. Thank you so much. Here's what we have to do now. I know I have a lot of other people on hold. Got to take a break. Ileana Dropkin's going to be joining us here for the next segment. Get her thoughts on the interview. Also, Joe Walsh's opinion on this interview. We'll get to his audio coming up here in a few. Nelson, Joseph, Stephen, Mark. We'll get to all your calls coming up next at 702-221-7283. Muhammad, I hope you have a nice day. And as I say to JD, I will also say to you, make sure you take off that those Donald Trump knee pads before you go to sleep, my friend, because you are complicit and you are in denial. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits. Before Mohammed is next. Hello, Mohammed.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. What's on your mind, Mohammed?
Well, I find it a little strange that with several callers, you bring up the fact that when they don't hold somebody to account that you don't agree with politically, not just Trump, just in general, you feel like if it happened a long time ago, it shouldn't matter. With that last call or something that happened a long time ago, I guess it doesn't matter.
What are you talking about? You talking about Willie Brown?
Yeah.
Who cares? They had a relationship. What is it? Why does that matter to you?
Okay. So I remember how upset you were about somebody coming on your show and people going on TV and making fellatio jokes about Kamala Harris.
Well,
Remember how offended you were by that?
It's misogynistic.
Every other chance you get, you make a Stormy Daniels or a joke about Laura Loomer giving him fellatio on the plane, which is
first of all,
unsubstantiated.
No,
but you
not
have
true.
No problem talking about
not true. So here's where we start.
nauseam.
All right, well, hold on. Here's where we start in this conversation. Laura Loomer.
We start with you being a hypocrite.
No, I'm not a hypocrite. Be quiet and listen for a second. Mohammed, why don't you shut up and listen for 20 seconds and stop talking over me so we could have a conversation? Let's start there.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to do that on my own show. So first of all, Mohammed, I had one of Laura Loomer's very close friends for a long time on the show yesterday. She made the claim that she performed sex acts on Donald Trump. Now, she's also a woman who's a known Islamophobe, a proud Islamophobe. She's a woman who's a 9/11 conspiracy theorist, and Donald Trump is the guy that chose to invite her to the ceremonies. So whether she performed sex acts on him or not is not the main issue that I have. The main issue that I have is Donald Trump has decided to invite and hang out with a woman during 9/11 ceremonies that is a 9/11 conspiracy theorist. So now I'm going to push it back on you. Do you not have a problem with that?
Why don't you focus on that instead of all
I have been. What, do you listen to the show? I have been focusing on it. I talked about it yesterday and the day before. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears.
You've made reference to her giving him fellatio on the plane.
Well, that's what she claimed.
5 or 6 times.
I didn't mention her name today once, by the way.
Focused on the other part of it.
I think you're focused on performing fellatio on Donald Trump. Do you wear the Donald Trump knee pads? Who are you voting for in November?
I'm sure I could find a friend of yours or two to say something negative about you, so I guess that makes it true.
No.
A close friend.
Okay, well,
that's what you're going off of. You had a close friend of hers come on and tell you that. That means nothing.
This is a woman. Hey, Mohammed. Mohammed, there's something.
It hasn't been proven in court.
There's something called context. I'm not sure if you're smart enough to know what that word means, but here's what it means. Again, I'll repeat myself. Laura Loomer is an open racist. She's proud of it. She's also a 9/11 conspiracy.
See, this is what
yes,
you do.
It is about Laura Loomer. Yes, it. Hey, MAGA. Hey, MAGA.
I don't care about Laura Loomer.
Hey, dum-dum. I know you don't care about Laura Loomer, but Donald Trump does because he's the one who invited her to the 9/11 ceremony. So you'd like to move on to something else since I owned you in this conversation. Go ahead. What's the next topic?
I'm glad you're the one keeping score because I don't know what you.
I am. Yeah, I am. 1-0.
Wrong.
Checkmate. Next.
Hey, listen.
Next.
You're like the other guy on the call said, the guy running for president, the lunatic you had on.
Oh, I'm glad we agree there. Thank you.
Yeah, well, he is a lunatic, but he probably got one thing right when he said you're not a Jew.
What are you talking about? Why would you? And then he hangs up the phone. What a MAGA coward. So we have another MAGA caller who calls into this show who is an anti-Semite. We have a MAGA caller who calls into this show when I give him Laura Loomer's background. All of a sudden, another guy that doesn't want to talk about it, another guy who calls into this show who probably believes what Donald Trump believes, which is you're not a true Jew if you don't support Donald Trump. Hey, Mohammed, have a nice day, pal, and take off those Donald Trump knee pads and wipe off your mouth before you go to sleep. I hope that joke didn't offend you.